Today we're talking about layer 1 of the OSI model, also known as the physical layer. In general, this layer refers to the raw bits of data that move over a physical medium and that physical medium itself. When I say physical medium, I mean however the bits are getting from point A to point B, what's in between that's carrying them. Some of the more common physical mediums that we use to accomplish this these days that you're pretty likely to see out in the wild include copper twisted pair cabling, optical fiber, and RF or radio frequency waves. You might have heard the copper twisted pair cabling referred to as Ethernet cable or Cat5, Cat6 cabling, and you also may have heard the radio frequency wave medium called just Wi-Fi. Those names are technically incorrect because we can communicate in a lot of different ways over radio frequency, not just using Wi-Fi. And as I've explained in previous videos, the copper cabling, the twisted pair that we use for Ethernet is not actually called Ethernet cabling, even though we commonly refer to it as that. Wi-Fi and Ethernet are their own separate protocols and they don't sit at layer 1 of the stack, they actually sit at layer 2. I'll go into that later. For the most part, there aren't many network devices that are considered to actually operate at layer 1 of the OSI model, but there is one that was common at one point in time, and that's the hub. The hub is considered layer 1 as opposed to 2 or 3 because all it is essentially a multi-port repeater. A hub takes electrical signal coming in and it simply repeats that signal out all other ports. End of story. Other things that are considered to operate at layer 1 of the OSI model are generally more electrical engineering EE types of things. For example, we have electrical connectors, resistors, ASICs and FPGAs. We even include the signal frequency and the encoding scheme of the bits that go over the physical medium because all of that does actually depend on the type of physical medium you're using. The last pretty interesting thing about layer 1 that I want to point out is that Ethernet, while considered a layer 2 protocol, does have an element that operates at layer 1. Ethernet has several sublayers, and one of those sublayers is the PHY. The PHY makes up the physical interface, and it actually is responsible for coding and decoding the data that comes from the raw transmission into what the device needs to read in order to understand it. Anyway, I've left out a bunch of details just for the sake of brevity, but I encourage you to look up more about this layer of the OSI model, especially if you're a network engineer or network engineering adjacent. If you understand this layer better, it will just help you troubleshoot faster and more efficiently.